Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, Jake of the One-Man Band is back again, and RWBY Volume 5 Episode 2, things are really starting to pick up. Let's dive right in. The episode picks up with Watts finally arriving at Lionheart's office, and they're about to leave to go make a report to Salem. Now, just by the way, in the beginning seconds when we see how Watts and Lionheart interact with one another, we can just see that Watts just oozes confidence and oozes the whole perspective that he has complete control over this situation. Watts is the definition of cool as a cucumber. He's almost taking this almost comically. And Lionheart, on the other hand, we can tell he's nervous, he's scared, he's unsure of what's going to happen. He's walking in front of Watts taking the more dominant position of being behind him, controlling the pace, and, you know, treating Lionheart like a prisoner. You don't drag your prisoners behind you, you put them in front of you so you can watch them. And Lionheart's just walking forward, he's gripping his own hands, just looking all nervous. They go into the secret passageway, and they come across, and they find one of those jellyfish-looking Grimm that we saw back in Volume 4. Finally getting a payoff for their drop in Volume 4, we now see what they are used for. This weird jellyfish-like Grimm is like a communications device. I would say it's like the Palantir from Lord of the Rings. Its orb-like head communicates with its counterpart. So one of them is in Lionheart's office and another one is at Salem's castle, and they're able to communicate with one another. So the Grimm, in a way, have a concept of transcontinental communication that's not the CCT. So essentially, the bad guys don't have any break in communication due to the CCT being down. The CCT is only a disadvantage to our protagonists, and that, I think, adds a whole new level of expertise that the antagonists have. They have planned this for a long time and have covered all of their bases. Now, Lionheart does not refer to Salem by her proper name. He refers to her as Your Grace. This shows that he is completely subjugated by Salem. She, while not in the pristine position as queen or goddess as Tyrion has put her at, he at least respects her authority and has put her up on a pedestal as to probably protect himself due to the fact that she has complete control over Lionheart. And before Lionheart can even make his report to Salem, Watts comes in once again oozing that cool as a cucumber confidence and makes some comments about the jellyfish Grimm and how it's such a fascinating thing, and he's wondering if they're coming in clear. Cinder, are we coming in clear? Can you please tell me if we're coming in clear? Once again, kind of playing with Cinder, because last time he saw her, she was pretty much a mute. So he's probably taking an advantage to mess with her a little bit more. To which Cinder actually replies to him, and, you know, he's kind of surprised. He's like, oh, you finally recovered. That's good. And while Watts is a bit disappointed at Cinder's recovery, he does state that they have discovered the location of Spring, to which Salem congratulates Watts. If she would have known that Watts would have got these results, she would have sent him to Lionheart sooner. However, we see another part of Watts' personality come out. He does not take undue credit. He says that as much as he would like to take the credit, it's actually all of Lionheart that figured all that out. So, although Watts seems to be a very confident, smooth, almost maybe even a slimy businessman, he does not take credit that is uncredited. He doesn't take the credit for other people. He is very much a self-made man, it appears. He doesn't want to stand on anybody else's shoulders. He is strong by himself. So hopefully we get to see a little bit more of that part of his personality in the coming episodes. And so Lionheart gives his report on how Crow and Team Ranger arrived at Haven and talked about how they know the location of the Spring Maiden, or at least the general location of where they think she is. And of course, this is playing all into the plans of the antagonists. Salem needs to recover all of the maidens and all of their powers in order to enact her grand scheme, which we're not quite exactly sure what it is yet, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting little hints every now and then. However, Cinder is not so much concerned with Spring as she is concerned with RWBY. Okay, it's from this line that we learn that she doesn't even so much care about what's going on in the grand scheme of things. She only cares about getting back at RWBY and destroying her. This is a very key thing with Cinder, that it's actually a very big change in her personality, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. However, once Leo gives his report, he starts to say that we have to act soon before they can, do anything. And you can see that there's kind of a shift in his personality and the way that he speaks, to where he seems to be gaining a bit of courage. He starts to build himself back up. He isn't so much watching what he says, he's just saying what he wants to say. And it's at this moment that this Grim lashes out and wraps its tentacle around his throat, and another tentacle readies its barb as to go straight into his eye. And Salem she then proceeds to tell Lionheart that, you need to learn your place once again. She's once again showing Lionheart where his place truly is. She talks about how when she first found him, when they first had contact with one another, what she could sense about him was his fear. But ever since then, he's been very brave. Now, does that mean very brave to stand alongside his former allies as a mole to Salem? I mean, some would say that that's a very brave thing to do, being the mole in an organization that you were once allied to. However, I think it's the lines preceding to Lionheart's torture that are very key. It's at the moment when he started to show courage and started to show himself without being under the subjugation of Salem that she lashed out at him. Lionheart, as much as it seems that he is a coward and is afraid, I think that he wants to get out underneath the control of Salem. He doesn't want to be her crony anymore. He doesn't want to be the mole anymore. But they pretty much have him by the balls, if you will. So the moment he starts to show independence, he starts to show courage, Salem lashes out and punishes him for it, like a owner punishing a dog when they do something wrong. She is keeping Lionheart in check and is not slacking at all in his subjugation. So not only is this key to understanding their relationship, but also how their relationship has been throughout the years. She has kept him in check for I don't know how long, but it's to the point where he is completely subjugated to her and is pretty much like a whipped dog. And with this new development, Salem starts to enact a new part of her plan. Cinder is going to take her team and head to Mistral to take on Raven and Spring. She says that she wants Cinder to encourage Raven Bronwyn to help them, to work with the antagonists. So the goal isn't so much to take Spring from Raven, but to subjugate Raven and have Spring come willingly. And when she states that Cinder is to take her team, I'm pretty sure this means that she's going to be taking Mercury and Emerald. Now, Emerald hasn't been seen at all in this volume, but Mercury has been seen in the intro, so I think Mercury is going to have more of a prominent presence inside this volume. And, you know, I'm really excited for that. I missed Mercury so much in Volume 4. Salem then states that she needs the Spring Maiden to unlock the Relic Chamber at Haven. And once they have what they need from Haven, the White Fang can then come in and destroy Haven. And we learn that that's what the White Fang wants. They want to destroy Haven Academy. For some reason. And before this communication is cut, it seems as if Watts isn't going to be staying in Mistral very long. It almost seems like he's going to be heading back to Salem's castle to make Tyrion a new tale, due to the fact that he lost his previous one against RWBY. Now, the real question is, what kind of tale is this going to be? Is it going to be some form of robotic tale, or is it going to be like a regrown tale? Maybe Watts is a biologist in some way. It can somehow manipulate DNA so that it regrows limbs. I mean, for all we know, that's what he can be, but he comes across as more of the technological wonder rather than the biological one. So, all for Robot Tale, say I. Seriously, leave it down in the comments for Robot Tale. And when the communication is finally cut, Cinder starts to voice her opinions to Salem, with Salem's permission, of course. Cinder doesn't see the reasons for working with bandits or keeping RWBY alive. Cinder states that they are strong enough to take whatever they want, so why are they holding back, and why are they playing this game, if you will? To which, when I saw this in the episode, I was just like, oh dear Cinder. You're not seeing the big picture. And that's exactly pretty much what Salem says. Salem sees the big picture, while Cinder really isn't. Salem states that Cinder needs to see the relevance in using other people. You see, whenever Salem uses other people, the attention is put onto those people rather than Salem. Salem is able to keep her cards close to her chest and is able to have many aces up her sleeve while she outsources these, small jobs to other people. That's why they brought in people like Roman Torchwick and Neo, and of course are bringing in the White Fang to achieve their goals. They need these pawns on the chessboard to be the potential scapegoats and the potential sacrifices, while Salem and her faction remain strong. She reminds Cinder that her power comes at a great cost, and she has to be able to protect that power. And so Cinder begins her journey to Mistral, but not before having to tell Tyrion to come and see Salem. Because, well, it was stated that Crow Bronwyn arrived at, Haven Academy, and Tyrion said that he killed him. So, I think Tyrion's gonna get a little bit of a punishment from Mother Goddess, and I don't think it's going to be a simple slap on the wrist. Oh, poor Tyrion. You are a madman, but you probably don't deserve the punishment that's coming to you. Now, through these interactions, I really saw that there is a dynamic change in Cinder's personality from how she was in the first 3 volumes to now. In the first 3 volumes, she was very calm, collected, calculating, and was willing to have the patience to draw out her plan. She was, the type of person that was, you need to know when you need to, you'll know what you need to know when you need to know it. She was very much that person to, be calculating, patient. But it seems now in Volume 5, after she suffered the defeat by RWBY's hands and was wounded by RWBY, she's more aggressive, more impatient, and is more just like, I have this power, so why can't I use it? It seems to be, is this the true Cinder coming out? This sort of impatient child who just wants power, and now that she has it, she just wants to use it and unleash it on her foes? Or is this a complete and utter change due to what happened to her from the old calculating and patient Cinder? I am excited to see more of Cinder in this volume now because she's had this change, and I want to see how this change has changed her relationship with Mercury and Emerald, and how she's going to act when she finally comes into contact with RWBY again. And after we get the villain's perspective, we switch back over to Weiss's perspective, as her and her pilot are still flying over Lake Matsu, but now they are in the proximity of the floating islands of Lake Matsu. And it's explained that the black dust crystals that form on these islands are gravity dust. Now, we have seen Weiss use this dust in battle. Whenever a black glyph appears, these glyphs seem to defy gravity in some way, and that is why, you know, that's the correlation between the black dust crystals and the black glyphs. Black is gravity dust, and it's due to this dust that these floating islands stay floating. So, I know it's a small little trivia tidbit, but I was actually really glad that they explained this and didn't just leave it to our interpretation. Sure, I probably would have, like, figured it out and would have stated in this review, but I'm just glad that they actually explained that little bit. However, not everything is all lollipops and gun drops now, because they come under attack by a new batch of Grimm. It is so exciting to see new Grimm come into this series, because I, for one, love the creatures of Grimm and love to see what they can do. Now, these new creatures of Grimm are what are known as Lancers, and they are evil, giant, wasp-looking things, and they are just evil-looking. I hate wasps, I hate flying insects, and if I were to come across these in real life, I don't know if I would be able to fight them. I think I'd be too petrified and would just curl up in a ball and die. Now, these Lancer-type Grimm seem to attack targets in swarms, much like actual wasps do. And these wasps are going after the airships that were under attack in the previous episode, when we saw Weiss's perspective. Now, we see just how strong these creatures of Grimm are. They're able to use their stingers to launch a sort of roped projectile into an airship, and they're able to hold it still. They're able to hold it in place, and even they seem to be able to rip an airship apart with just the with just this ability. They sting, if you will, the ship and then pull it back, and it's almost able to rip this wooden airship apart. And then another Lancer rams itself into the ship and the ship explodes. Now, does this mean that the Lancers are somehow explosive in some way? Can they detonate themselves? Like that rare form of African fire ant that can actually detonate themselves? Or was it just the fact that it charged itself maybe into the engine block or into a dust supply on the ship and that exploded? I'm not sure. But if these Grimm can detonate themselves on will, that just makes them way more scary. And it's seeing the destruction of these two airships that push Weiss over the edge. She can't be a bystander any longer. She even states that they're going to do what they should have done in the first place, and that's help people and fight these creatures of Grimm. And it's here we finally figure out what the pilot of this ship is actually transporting other than Weiss. What he's doing is smuggling dust into Mistral. He states that he does technically have dust on this ship, but is he supposed to have it? No, he's not supposed to have it. So he's obviously smuggling. We got like a Han Solo here. However, having this dust works to Weiss's advantage. She's able to power up her weapon and is able to start to use the dust to fight these Grimm. Now, Weiss is able to use a vast majority of her glyphs against these Lancer Grimm. She uses gravity glyphs to keep her on the ship as the back door opens. She uses fire and ice to actually fire and kill the Lancers, and it seems that these Lancers are pretty weak. One solid hit from a fireball or an ice shard is able to take them out, and Weiss has very good accuracy, almost 100% accuracy during this fight. And all the time when she's fighting the Lancers that are following them, the pilot is making these awesome aerial moves, dodging attacks, and even when the ship is boarded, he's able to do such an amazing move that it launches them off of the ship and into a wall, killing them. Through a little bit more glyph work and a little bit more fancy flying, they're able to take out the remainder of the Lancers. However, they do awaken a new danger, and this is the Queen Lancer. Now, obviously this Lancer is much bigger and a lot more durable, but it really begs the question. They even refer to it as a Queen Lancer. And so does this Queen Lancer act as a queen does to a hornet's nest or a beehive? Does it somehow have the ability, like the Grim Dragon, to make these spawning pools for Grim? Is this Queen Lancer able to make specific spawning pools for Lancers? Or is it just referred to as the Queen Lancer because it's a Lancer that has lived for a long time, has grown to an enormous size, and is now acting as sort of the hive mind for a Lancer swarm? We're not exactly sure exactly how a Queen Lancer is used, or if either of those two options are correct. Because by the time the Queen Lancer arrives into the fight, the other smaller Lancers are already dead. So, if we get more Lancers in the series, maybe we'll actually get a answer to this question. However, this Queen Lancer has more tricks up her sleeve than just a mysterious origin. The Queen Lancer seems to be completely immune to any small attack that Weiss can throw at her. And the Queen also has this ability to fire small barbs out of her body. These are different from the Lancer stingers that were used by the lesser ones. These ones are completely detached from the Queen's body and act more like projectiles, hitting crucial parts of the ship like the wings and the engines, damaging it. And this Queen Lancer is super durable. Even when Weiss throws a majority of the raw dust out of the ship and then ignites it, not even a multi-dust explosion puts a dent in this Queen Lancer. It just seems to piss her off more. And so Weiss pulls out her trump card and we see her summon her White Knight. And this, we finally get to see how she's going to utilize this knight in combat. She calls to the pilot to make some cool, fancy maneuvers with the ship. As the knight exits the ship and dives towards the Queen Lancer. All the time, Weiss is in a crouching position, concentrating on controlling the White Knight. And she's even able to activate other platform glyphs for the White Knight to stand and launch itself off of. So, while Weiss can summon this White Knight, she is able to activate other glyphs to aid it. But it seems that she needs to concentrate on controlling this this summon in order to use it effectively. Now, once again, she's just really learned how to summon, and she's already showing a very good proficiency for it. But she is not to the point where she can summon the creature and then fight alongside the creature like Winter is. So I think it's just real important that we get to see that even though Weiss is able to summon her this White Knight, she has to concentrate on controlling it rather than going into the battle with it. However, with the summoning of the White Knight, it is finally able to kill the Queen Lancer, and it just shows just how strong this White Knight summon is. It's able to kill something that no conventional weaponry was able to. However, there was one mistake made during the fight, and the Queen Lancer's stinger does strike the ship, knocking out the remainder of its engines, and it starts to go down. Weiss does her best to slow the descent of this ship with her gravity glyphs, but to no avail, and it still crashes into the jungles of Mistral. However, this is not the end of Weiss's story, but we'll get to that near the end of the review. For now, we're going to transition again back to the bad guys, but not the bad guys we expect. We're transferring back to Adam, and he is in council with the grand leader of the White Fang, Sienna Khan. We finally get to see Sienna Khan in all of her glory. Now, Adam is pushing for the White Fang to attack Haven Academy, but Sienna Khan doesn't want that to happen. It seems that Sienna Khan is really against the whole concept of attacking the Huntsman Academies. And this really brings up a question once again. What is Adam's deal with Haven Academy? Why does he have such a hate boner for it? It's not really so much for Salem's sake, all Salem wants to do is to get the relic and leave. She even stated earlier in this episode that once they have what they want, they're just gonna let the White Fang swoop in and destroy Haven Academy. So why does Adam have such a hate boner for it? And it's here that we actually get to see something I was not expecting. Sienna Khan isn't the bloodthirsty White Fang leader that I, at least, rose her up to be. She's a lot more conservative, if you will, and while she states that she has nothing against using violence when violence is due, she states to Adam that his attack on Beacon was no great victory for the White Fang that he thinks it was. And she tells him that he should be thankful that his punishment wasn't more severe. To which I would say, what was his punishment exactly? He doesn't particularly look beaten or demoted. Was his punishment getting a new outfit? Was that his punishment? Was his punishment zippers? Adam, however, throws it back in Sienna's face and stating that he was only trying to display what Sienna represented to the White Fang. Strength and conviction. These are the things that make the White Fang strong. Sienna Khan believes in violence when it is necessary. She is simply the type of person that won't allow humanity to beat down the Faunus without the Faunus beating humanity a little bit back. Which, to be honest, is fair. If someone is punching you, it's only fair that you get a few punches in as well. She states that Adam's attack on Beacon Academy was like one of the stupidest things he could have done. It took down the CCT, so now global communications are completely screwed up. So now the White Fang itself can't really communicate with its other chapters and on other landmasses, and due to his such public attack of Beacon Academy, the White Fang and the Faunus overall in general are now even more of a target for humanity than before, and I'm just like, yes! Preach it, Sienna! I've only been saying that for the longest time! Yes! Preach it! Put Adam in its place! He has a stupid plan! His plan is stupid! And I was just so happy that someone in the show was actually stating what I've been thinking ever since those episodes in Volume 3. Sienna also states that Adam's vision is short-sighted. He doesn't see the big picture, which is another thing that I absolutely agree. Adam does not see the big picture, and I think that he is just concentrated on one thing, and one thing only, and that is a bad thing for a leader to do. And Sienna also states that, alright, so you did all this stuff, and for what? The empty promises from humans that you hate so much that have proven to be unreliable and seem to give us false promises. She's speaking of which to Salem's faction. So, yes, it's like, dude, Adam, your plan is stupid. And I'm just so glad that there's someone in the White Fang that actually speaks logic and is, you know, is good at talking about things. You know, actually sees the big picture. And when Sienna brings up Salem's faction, Adam simply states, would you like to talk to one of those people? To which Hazel enters in. Now, Hazel was sent to deal with the whole White Fang and was sent by Salem to make sure that Sienna followed through with their agreement. And so he's there now with Adam, as Adam is the more or less link to Salem's faction between Salem and Sienna. Now, bringing a human into the domain of the Grand Leader of the White Fang probably wasn't such a good idea. Everyone goes on guard, and, like, Sienna is just like, do you have any idea what this guy's doing? I can have you killed for just being here. But we get to see more of Hazel's character here. He is only here to speak, and he doesn't want to cause trouble. And he is very, very courteous to Sienna when she pretty much only spouts threats to him. He even bows to the Grand Master of the White Fang and states that nobody has to die today. I'm just here to talk. And I think this shows a very nice contrast between Salem's allies. We have all these people that are just so like, okay, let's go, I want to do this, let's just go forward. But Hazel is the much more reserved person who's just like, he doesn't seem bloodthirsty or anything, he just seems like he wants to do his part. And it's with Hazel's arrival that we get to hear the dual perspectives and theologies that our two leaders of the White Fang have. Sienna wishes for humanity to respect and fear the Faunus in a way that they won't, discriminate against them. However, Adam is not for equality in any way like Sienna is. He believes Faunus are superior to humanity and that humanity should not be equal or fear them, but they should be below them. And humanity should serve the Faunus, that the Faunus are superior to humanity in any way. And I don't know about you, but that sounds a lot like someone in history went from Malcolm X to Adolf Hitler pretty quick. And my friends, this is truly the beginning of something terrible. Because after Adam states his view on humanity, Sienna is completely done with him and tells the guards to escort him out. But they do not move. You see, Adam's popularity in the majority of the White Fang is very high. A lot of the White Fang already see him as the superior leader of the White Fang. And it's here he pulls a coup. Now, let it be known that this coup was not part of Salem's plan at all. Hazel is surprised by this turn of events, and is even more surprised when Adam full-blown commits regicide and kills Sienna Khan, usurping her from her throne. And what's even more strange is that not a single Faunus in this room stands against Adam. I know that he probably stacked the deck in his favor and only had his supporters at this meeting, but not one of the other White Fang members was surprised when he killed Sienna, was taken aback when he stated the things that he did. It just seems all a little bit too perfect of a tower for a coup. You know, normally coups are a little bit more bloody, a little bit more unsteady, but I guess it had to happen, easily so that the plot could continue. Adam states that everyone in this room will say that Sienna Khan was killed by a human huntsman, and she will have died a martyr for the White Fang, her final act as Supreme Leader. And now he is Supreme Leader. So he's once again framing the huntsman for doing a terrible thing, and is probably gonna rally support to now take on Haven, because a human huntsman killed her. Let us go burn the castle down, shall we? Once again, it's like, what's the deal with your hate boner for Haven? Do you just hate all of the Huntsman Academies? Why? Explain, Adam! And through these events unfolding, we can see that Hazel is taken aback by Adam's actions. He even states that no one had to die today. We can tell that he did not know of Adam's plan that day. And Hazel doesn't like to be kept in the dark. If he would have known what Adam was gonna do, he probably would have been a little bit more okay with it, but he doesn't like to be kept in the dark about things, because then he can't act accordingly. Hazel seems to be a very simple man. So now Hazel is going to be the assistant to Supreme Leader of the White Fang, Adam, aka King Joffrey. And with that finally wrapping up, we cut back to our best girl Weiss at the crash of her ship. And I'm sad to say, but it does not look like the pilot survived. That pilot was a damn good man, a really good pilot, and I am sad to see him go. I really liked this guy, and I was at least hoping that he would make it back to his wife and children. If he had any. But we see that Weiss is not alone. She has been found by some friendly Good Samaritans who are going to help her. Until we see that those Good Samaritans are bandits. Raven's bandits. Oh, joy! And now she is captured by a bandit tribe. Now, I don't know about you, but this seems like a very, very, very coincidental thing that she would crash land so close to Raven's hideout that she would now become a prisoner of Raven. And by the way this volume seems to be going, it seems that all of our main girls are all going to converge on Raven's tribe, and that's where shit is gonna go down. That's where probably the climax is going to happen. Yang is going after Raven, Weiss is now a prisoner of Raven, and Ruby is gonna travel with Crow to Raven's compound to secure the Spring Maiden. The only main character that is going to be unaccounted for is Blake, and she's probably going to be fighting Adam at Haven Academy. And maybe the other main characters are going to go to Haven Academy once the crap starts to hit the fan. So by the looks of things, it looks like Weiss and Yang are going to be the first ones to link back up. And I think that's going to prove to be some really cool interactions. Maybe Yang is going to see Weiss in a cage, and maybe they're going to have to actually fight each other to see for Raven to try to prove Yang's loyalty to Raven. You know, oh, we have this prisoner. I want you to prove your loyalty to me, so fight her. That might be some real interesting developments. Or maybe Yang is going to somehow aid in Weiss's escape from this compound, but it does seem that Raven knew who Weiss was. She almost seems to know that she's a Schnee. So, does this mean that she's gonna be trying to ransom Weiss back to her family? Put Weiss way back at square one? Really, like, square -1? Because now she won't have the ability to escape anymore? That's gonna really throw a monkey wrench into the things. Into the whole escape plan that Weiss had. So with the whole wrap up of the episode, I think this is once again another good one. We got to see a good fight with Weiss that we never really saw a good fight with Weiss back in volume 4, I'm sorry. And you know, we had the villain development on two fronts this time, and we concentrated on Weiss, who only got a little bit of time in the first episode. So I would give this episode 9 out of 10. Really freaking good. But, you know, the only thing that keeps it from a 10 out of 10 is the whole aspect of Sienna Khan being killed off so easily. And so early. I mean, it's not like... And the thing is, Rooster Teeth got a really well-known voice actor to do her voice. And it's not like Rooster Teeth has the tendency to get these well-known voice actors just to have them voice a couple lines and then to kill off their character or barely give them any screen time. Huh. Hey everybody out there in YouTube land! Thank you for watching this review of RWBY Volume 5 Episode 2. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you feel inclined to, and if you want to see new and other videos that I've done, there's going to be some links down in the description taking you to some playlists that I have. And until next time, my friends, I want you to be a good person, tip your waitresses, keep moving forward, and I'll see you guys next time I'm out there in YouTube land. I'll see you then. Yeah!